Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, I'm going to be looking at the SH Figuarts BROLY figure. Finally, people have been super excited for this guy for basically since he came out, and since even before he came out, when people wanted him and nobody ever figured he would make it. But they finally did. Get away, cat. Either get on camera or go away. You're not cute the way you're being right now. Sorry about that. Cat's causing trouble in the bad kind of way. Anyway, so BROLY. Everybody's been excited for him, and for good reason. I mean, it's a cool looking character. A lot of people really like the character. You guys probably know from me talking about him in the past, I'm actually not a huge fan of the character. I didn't care for the movie that much. I liked the character design. I didn't like the story. So I'm not in any way biased toward liking this figure. I wasn't exceptionally excited for it based on the character, but I was excited for it because this is basically a new type of figure for Bandai Japan. They don't typically make these really big, bulky, large-scale figures, and I think that's why we haven't gotten Nappa yet. And I'm pretty sure I've heard them say that if they do well with this one, then they're going to go ahead and do Nappa. So this was exciting for me on a more technical side. And now that I've got it, I have to say, it is a giant steaming pile of awesomeness. I couldn't be more pleased with this figure. They had every opportunity to make mistakes and do things the wrong way, and they didn't do that. They did a really, really great job. And this figure right here is the perfect example of why I gave the Figuarts Mario so much trouble. That figure was so simple and they made so many mistakes on it, whereas this figure, it could have been totally screwed up. I mean, everything about this posed a problem for them, and they did a really good job with it. So this is why I know they're capable of doing awesome things, and that's why it bothered me so much when they didn't do awesome things when I really wanted them to. So hopefully this gives you guys a little bit of insight as to the thought process. So let's stop rambling and let's look at the figure. He is massive. I know he has a higher price tag, but that is for good reason. He stands to the top of his hair 9.5 inches tall. SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z figure, 9.5 inches tall. And I know you guys have seen the pictures of him with Goku, and it's kind of like a perspective shot, so Goku seems kind of not so small compared to him. Here, there's no perspective at all. Goku is tiny compared to BROLY. He doesn't even come up to his nips. Not even close. Goku's tiny. BROLY's just massive. BROLY's arm uses almost as much plastic as Goku's whole body. It's just an incredibly impressive figure. I'm really, really pleased with it. Okay, let's run through the accessories quickly first. You see the two fist hands on here. He's also got two open palm hands, so that'll come in handy for some energy effect posing. Then he's got the kind of more curled up, I don't know, they're not really gripping hands. You could force a grip shot by having the hand like on Goku like this and having a display stand hold him up, something like that, or around the waist or whatever you want, but they're kind of just more open hands. So that's it for the hands. We don't get a ton of accessories, but that's okay because he's humongous. Then we have two alternate faces. We have the smirky face, which looks really cool, and then we have the screaming face, which also looks really cool. I love the solid white eyes. They did a great job with that. Then we have three of the, I don't know what these are. If they're probably not Kamehamehas. I really don't remember what his attacks are. Sorry guys, but we have three of them. They're nice translucent emerald green, really nicely pigmented, I guess is a good way of saying that. They're nice and translucent, they look awesome. Then they have a shaded spot, or a painted spot, where it's supposed to be looking like it's lit up, I guess. Not sure why we got three though. Pretty sure you're only really supposed to use one at a time, which is also evidenced by the display stage they give us. It's basically the stage 4 humanoid stand that we've seen a million times over. Standard base with the 3 peg holes in it. Then we get the upright piece. So that's standard, you know, the 3 hinges. We get 2 of those. One is for the effect part, so you'll peg that on. Then the other one is for supporting the figure, and you can see here we get a heavy duty clip for the figure. So 2 uprights, the base and the clip, all included in the package. Always appreciated. 3 energy effects, 4 alternate hands, 2 alternate faces. That's really all you need. I mean, sure, they could have gone crazy and given him 50 hands like they did for Krillin, but it's really not necessary, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Especially considering the awesome job they did on this guy. You can see there's tons of shading throughout the skin. It looks great. There's shading throughout his, whatever that is, I don't know, his belt. Let's just call it a belt for the lack of a better term. Lots of shading there. Pants have shading. The gold paint, so gold and nice looking. Looks really good on the boots and on the gauntlets. Necklace looks pretty good. It's got a nice blue gem in there. You can kind of see the light bouncing off of that, so that's awesome. Necklace back here is all sculpted on, but it still looks pretty good. And then the hair, they did some really nice green shading, which I'd like to point out, I said when they first showed it, it really needs green shading in the hair. That would make it look perfect. A lot of people told me, no, he's not supposed to have green hair. It's supposed to be yellow. Yeah, I know. I said green shading, and look, green shading. So there, sit on it. No, I'm just kidding. But the green hair shading does look awesome. It looks really good with that yellow. It looks just the way it should. So I couldn't be happier with that. And like I said, the white, solid white eyes with the black lining on them looks really, really cool. They did a great job with that. So glad the white doesn't look all transparent and junky. So, you guys are probably wondering about the articulation, because he's a little bit bulky. So, oftentimes with bulky figures, the articulation is quite hindered. That's really not the case with him. In fact, and I'll get more into the articulation in just a second. I want to mention one thing. The only complaint I have for this guy, which isn't really a complaint, it's something I think might have looked a little bit better. His neck area could just use a little bit of bulking up. I know they probably couldn't do it because of the articulation, and it doesn't look bad the way it is, but he's got the big shoulders and everything, but he has like no traps at all. So it could look a little bit better. If I had to pick out a gripe, there's that. So that's really it. So that's pretty good. Okay, articulation wise, first of all, it'll help if I show you. The hair comes off so you can swap out the faces, which is pretty much standard. I'm going to take those off though so I can show you the articulation. He's got a double ball hinge with a ball peg. So the ball peg goes into the hair, then we have a ball hinge and another ball hinge. So those can both obviously swivel and they can both hinge. Now, I'm not sure if it's really necessary to have both of those. It doesn't hurt it, obviously. You can still sit the head down just the way it belongs. So we'll go ahead and put the faces back on, or face and hair back on so you can see what I'm talking about. So obviously the head sits perfectly fine on the neck. Doesn't look up all that well because of the hair, but that's okay. Technically, you can maneuver it around with those ball hinges. But it doesn't really help him look up at all, so that doesn't really help there. He can look down a little bit with the head in place, but not so well. But if you use those double ball hinges, he can look down really far. So that is where those are really going to come into play. And he can look to the side a little bit, but with those double ball hinges, you can really turn his head. And of course, it's going to look weird from some angles, but from others, it's not going to be so bad. And then you can kind of just push it back in place. And it's going to work out. It might not look great at every angle, but you will be able to pose it and take your photos or just make it look good, at least from one angle, if not all of them. I'd probably leave it mostly just seated where it belongs and then just move it only as much as I absolutely have to keep it looking natural. But see, it even like that, it looks really good. So, double ball hinges for the head. No actual neck articulation, just because even though I said it's too small, it's still huge. So they didn't articulate that, which is fine. For the shoulder, we get a moving ball peg. So that whole thing, it's got a ball peg that connects in there, so that'll move. But then this part right here is actually a ball socket that will move around that ball peg. So that gives his arms a really nice range of motion. It works as a sort of a butterfly joint. And then of course we have the hinge on top of that, which gives him really good range of motion. You can bring the arm across the chest, not perfectly, but pretty darn well. You can really get the arms moving around with very little trouble at all, and it almost always looks good. I love the way they design this. You see, I know Bandai has the ability to make incredibly well done figures, so that's why I review things harshly. I know it's possible to have it done. And at the price point, what is this guy, 65 bucks, something like that? Wow, they packed in so much awesomeness. That's why I know The other figures that I've not necessarily been nice to could have been better. We have a perfectly fine bicep swivel, of course. It's a double jointed elbow, but since he's so bulky, we really only get a little bit better than 90 degrees, which is fine. I wasn't expecting him to be able to touch his shoulder with his palm, so that's okay by me, and it looks pretty good. I mean, considering how bulky and blocky it is, they did a good job. It's all sculpted on the outside and shaded, so that's fine with me. And then for the wrist, it's just a standard ball peg. Excuse me, just a standard ball peg, so you can swap the hands out, but you still get a really good range of motion, of course, full swivel, and then it leans just fine all over the place, so that's really good. Now for the torso, this is another unique type of articulation. At least I haven't seen it before. Maybe they've used it in the Monster Arts or something. I can't really show you. I don't think you're going to be able to see in there too well, but there's a ball peg that goes this way, and it pegs in back here, and where it connects on the front, so it pegs in back here on the top, and then on the front it's connected on a hinge, I believe, up here. So that allows for this right here, and then the ball peg allows for the body, the upper body, to work like a diaphragm joint. So you can rotate it some, you can lean it from side to side, and then of course you can rock it from front to back, and he's got really good, goes all the way back, all the way forward. You can kind of pop it up a little bit too. You can see, let's see if I can, there you go. So you can see it goes up and down to provide you even better range of motion. And then that'll give him some extra height too. That 9.5-inch measurement or whatever it was, I had his torso all the way squashed down, and I had his legs all the way up. So you can actually make him even taller. Pop his chest up like that, pull the legs down a bit, and you're good to go. And then down here for the lower torso, it's a ball peg, but it's pretty much just a swivel. You're only going to get a little bit of leaning and left and right out of that, so it's just a swivel. The red part here is on a separate swivel. You can see the white does not move with it, and it does not move with the upper torso, so this can be posed independently. This front piece of his, whatever it is on a ball hinge, so you can rotate it this way, you can rotate it this way, and you've got the hinge there. I guess it would have been better if that was hidden a little bit more in the front, but it's not a big deal. So there's that. And then each of these side pieces, let's get this out of the way. These do get a little bit cumbersome, but it's not so bad. I've heard some people say they wish it was soft plastic. I don't personally mind. I think it works out okay the way it is. Soft plastic would have been better, I guess, but yeah, it didn't strike me as being an issue like Batman's cape. So these are on ball hinges also. So we have the hinge this way, the rotation at this end of the ball hinge, and then obviously where it connects. Of course his crotch isn't sculpted at all, but it doesn't need to be since it's hidden by all of this. The back piece does not move, kind of like the Robot Damacy figures. They often don't move the back. I kind of wish it did, but it's nothing important. We have the standard hinged ball pegs for SH Figuarts, so you can bring that peg all the way down, and then you can move the hip around on that ball, and we have a thigh swivel right in there. So you can make him even taller, like I said, by popping those legs down. And we can hide the joint. Hide the, does that go on the outside or the inside? Inside. Alright, let's see if I can get, there we go. So we can effectively make him even taller by pulling the legs down a little bit, and then he's even bigger. So the knees now, a lot of people are probably wondering, well, how'd they do on the knees? Because the knees are really baggy and bulky. They did a really good job. These might be the best knees on a Dragon Ball Z figure. They sculpted them all the way through, they're painted all the way through. Obviously they're really big and bulky, but it looks good. I mean, there's only so much you can do. It's gonna be big and bulky, but they did a really good job making sure it looked as good as it possibly could. Having the sculpt go all the way through, really impressed with this figure. They did such a nice job. They really, it looks like they put the time and effort into it to make it as good as they could, and it shows through in the figure. And that's all I ever ask, is that they make sure the figure is what they wanted it to be, not just something to make money. So for the ankles, we have a ball hinge. It'll swivel in the shin and in the foot. So technically you can turn that into an ankle rocker. It's going to take a little wiggling, but you can do that. We also have a toe hinge, and that covers it for the feet. So that's pretty much it. That's the rundown. I will definitely post some photos here at the end of the video. But I gotta say, guys, if you are going to get a figure from the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z line, this really has to be it. It's such an incredible figure. I know it's a little bit more expensive, but you are getting so much out of this figure value-wise. Easily worth the price tag, without a doubt. Hands down, Awesome, awesome figure. Alright guys, stick around for the photos at the end here, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.